Welcome to Public Speaking with Peter George. Do you want to be calm, confident, and credible every time you speak in public? Then stay tuned as Peter and his guests discuss public speaking tips, techniques, and tactics that help you increase your impact, influence, and income. Here's your host, the author of The Captivating Public Speaker, Peter George.
Is PR part of your promotional mix? Or do you believe it's a tool used only by larger companies with even larger bank accounts? Well, in this episode, Brandi Sims shares with you how PR can be part of your mix and how it can benefit you no matter the size of your company. Brandi is the founder and CEO of Brand Inc. PR. For the past 14 years, she has gained extensive experience in handling public relations, digital marketing, graphic design, and PR event planning for her clientele. Her diverse expertise results from work with public figures, nonprofit organizations, government sectors, authors, sports figures, corporations, and small to medium-sized businesses. Brandi's clients have received major coverage from Forbes, ESPN, Fox News, The New Yorker, Cosmopolitan, and more. Here's my conversation with Brandi Sims. Hi, Brandi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
We're speaking about PR. What is PR?
Such a great question. PR is public relations, so short for PR. And what it helps to do is it really focuses on reputation management. That's where we come in. We help to support brands, public figures, companies, small businesses, you name it. And we help them realize how important their reputation is and find ways to help improve or to communicate ideal messaging that are consistent with the brand's vision. So PR is very much about word of mouth. What ways are we sharing our story? What mediums are we using to communicate that story? And how effective are we in sharing that messaging in a consistent and concise way to what our brand vision is all about? So PR in a nutshell, it's very much word of mouth.
And how does it differ from marketing and advertising?
How it differs from marketing and advertising is very much in our strategy and our approaches to how we deal with our brands and who we're telling the story about. So with marketing, it very much relies on data analytics to drive messaging and to drive the storytelling aspect of dealing with clients. So when we think of marketing, we're thinking of all the ways that we use data and analytics to really share a message. I really always like to use, initially when social media came out, it was very much social media marketing. Of course, now that's kind of shifted because it teeters on the line of PR because we're using a tool that's free. We're using a tool that largely relies on social groups, relationships to communicate with one another. So there's very much a PR underbelly and almost even more so when we talk about social media. But initially, it was social media marketing because companies would go on there, they would use the analytics, they would use the data that they would find on their ideal audience, and they would target the communication to those specific audience members that they were hoping to attract to their brand. That's where marketing is very much relying upon. They look for the analytics. They look for, we need to find out the numbers, the demographics, those specific information. And that's how we help to support our clients or to help to support a brand. As we use all of that information, and that's how we communicate and we essentially reach their goal, which is either raising brand awareness or sharing their story or generating some kind of buzz for them.
What about advertising?
Advertising, similarly to marketing, is all about that push and using that data and analytics to communicate and share information or to promote something. But advertising, I think it takes a step further in that it is a medium that's used to specifically share exactly what's available, exactly what's about the brand. And it's one of the few, I think, where brands truly have complete autonomy over how their message is shared. So for advertising, you pay a certain amount and they're just going to share it. That's how it works. That's why it's effective. But in that, when you compare marketing, advertising, and PR, it's the one that people often will utilize when they're just purely here to just promote a message, because that's what advertising does. Each of these areas have a very, very important role as a whole when we're talking about an integrated marketing campaign. And that's the term that we typically will use in this. And that's where we use each one of these mediums to share a messaging.
Is one more important than the others?
All of them are equally important. I share this with prospects. I share this with clients. We don't want you to stop marketing because you're doing PR, or we don't want you to stop doing advertising because now you're doing marketing. All of these have a special role and they have a special place, and each one are equally valuable. And it's something that as a brand, as a company, you need across the board to be utilizing, because they all do very different things. Our goal out of all of them is always the same. How do we get the word out about this amazing product, this amazing service, this amazing brand? It's just our strategies, our tactics, and how we do it are completely different. PR, focus on word of mouth. So interviews, speaking engagements, that's PR. Marketing, thinking of promotional billboards, thinking of street teams that are handing out flyers, that's marketing. Advertising, that's I'm paying you X amount of money and you're going to print this on this date and this time in this newspaper. And they all have an equal and important role to play. Each are very, very different. And again, it's all about the strategies and tactics that we use that are very different from each other, but all of them are equally important to be successful and ultimately putting your brand out there.
When we hear about PR, we often think of big companies. Why is PR important for small businesses too?
Oh, yes, yes. Well, you're exactly right. Anytime we speak about PR, it's always this kind of luxury good, right? It's this thing that only entertainers can afford to have it or should have it. And it's just not the case. Every brand, no matter how small or how large, needs to be investing in their PR. And I tell this a lot to startups, especially because we get it. You're starting up, you're just really putting yourself out there, and you don't have a lot of resources. You don't have a lot of income. You're just getting started. And we totally get that. But that doesn't mean that you don't do anything in terms of in-house PR and marketing. Some of the basic things that I suggest is pushing out announcements. What does your company have going on? Is there a new employee that you've added? Is there a new product and service that you're adding to your roster? What are those things that you can be sharing to your audiences and letting them know what's happening with your company? That's a very basic thing that you can be doing yourself, especially when you don't have a team to do it. It's going to be a heavy lift, but it's something that you can ideally be doing on your own as you start to build that income and build that revenue, where you can eventually outsource and get the proper experts on to help you with your PR and all of those things. But yes, it's very much something that people share often is they believe it's so unattainable and it's something that they can't do or they don't have access to, but you very much do. PR is not limited to larger companies. It very much is one that all companies, all industries, 100% need.
Do many small businesses, and specifically speakers who are often a one-person shop, do they think that, well, my announcement or my upcoming presentation at this conference doesn't matter to anyone, so why should I use PR?
That's a misconception. Yes. And that's something that is shared. The idea that, oh, well, it's not that important and it's a small engagement and nobody's really going to be interested other than these people that, they brought me into it and they see the value that I bring, but it's just going to be in this small little bubble and network that's actually going to enjoy it and see value in it. And that's a misconception. You absolutely want to be sharing anytime that you have a speaking engagement or an opportunity to serve on a panel, whether you were paid or not, doesn't matter. Because really, that's all back end stuff anyway, right? You need to be sharing that with your audience and saying, hey, I've been featured here. Hey, this is going on. I'd love for you to attend if you can. Here's the link. It's very important that you are honing in on your PR as a small business, as a new business, in a major, major way. And it starts with very simple tweaks that you can be doing in your messaging that are communicating and sharing exactly what you're working on and doing. This is all part of that process. You want to definitely be pointing it out, Doesn't matter how big, how small. These are the things that I'm doing and I'm working on.
Are there other instances where this is valuable?
I definitely think it's important not only just for companies, for small businesses, but also personal branding has a role in this too. What are you doing? What are you actively working on in your profession? And you'd be surprised those that engage with you and those that have not engaged with you that are now interested in, oh, what are you doing? And what are you actively working on? And let me follow you and see what else you have going on. You're getting fans and followers just by sharing, hey, this is what's going on. I'm so excited to speak at this engagement. If you can attend, check it out. Here's the link, or follow up, and here's the link to the recording. And continuing that story and continuing that conversation, essentially, that you're having with the public, that's a great, great part of building your brand and building that awareness about your brand, whether it's your business or it's yourself. You want to be sharing those things. Doesn't matter how small it is. As long as you are sharing and putting it out there, those small opportunities can become big opportunities in the future and result in big revenue generators and opportunities down the line.
Have you heard what noted speakers and readers are saying about Peter's book, The Captivating Public Speaker? The single most helpful speaking resource I've ever encountered. A framework that elevates you to a superb speaker. A system that is straightforward and guaranteed to improve your public speaking skills. After this episode, please use the link in the show notes to check out The Captivating Public Speaker on Amazon. Now, back to Peter and his guest.
I can definitely tell you, just from experience working in this industry for the past 14 years, I've had several clients that have had opportunities come out just because we've shared or reshared, hey, we're speaking here or we're doing this, and just these little things. And they end up going into bigger speaking engagements and bigger opportunities. I've even had one client that was able to secure a Forbes placement because they shared out that they were speaking at another event in LA, and a Forbes contributor saw it and wanted to do a story on it. So it was like from just sharing a simple Twitter post, I think it was, to becoming now a feature in Forbes, where it is a well-respected media outlet and an even greater audience that this client now has access to. Just off of that simple touch there, it's made such a difference for them. And that's one of those things that, it, again, kind of tying back into this message here, is that it doesn't have, no matter how small it is, you need to be sharing it, share it, post it, share it to your audience, share it to your fans, your social media platforms, and make sure that people are aware, of what you have going on, and just be consistent with it, I think, is the main thing. Be consistent with it. Don't post and then we don't hear from you 6 months, 7 months down the line. You want to be active when you're telling what's going on, but definitely, it's often a misconception that it's those little things that they won't be interested in that. Yes, they will. They'll be interested in it. And guess what? Then they're going to know that this is possibly a service that you offer or that you're available to do those things. Because how many times have we gotten the message, I didn't know you did speaking engagements. I didn't know you were on a podcast you host. I've got people that I'd love for you to meet, or I'd like to get you onto a conference that I'm doing here in LA or in New York. And then it just grows from there. But it doesn't happen until you start putting yourself out there.
Brandi, if my listeners were to work with a PR agency, what might it look like?
It definitely looks like an extension of your team. I always preach this, that we are essentially an additional arm and leg of the team that already exists for the companies that we serve. And I like it to be that way. I emphasize that with my team, that we're very much an extension of the clients that we serve, because we are your in-house people. Even though we're outsourced, we're in-house. We're here to help you and to support you in any way that we can. And what that relationship looks like is very much that, an extension of your team. So it very much is working on your behalf. It's pitching your business, your brand to these major outlets, to local outlets, finding partnership opportunities that make sense for your brand that we can help leverage behind the scenes and negotiate these opportunities on your behalf. We really go to bat for our clients. And in PR, that's exactly what our role is. We work behind the scenes while you are in front facing and making it a point to be visible. And we do the heavy lifting on the back end. We get you those opportunities that make sense, that are opportunities where you can talk about your products and services, that you can share your story and get it into the hands of the audiences that are going to be interested in what you have to offer. Those that may not have seen you or knew you existed because of local markets or whatever the case may be, we make it a point to put those brands in those positions where they can pivot and they can grow, but they can get the exposure that matters. And I think that's what makes it so different from the different areas of industry and agencies. When we talk about PR, marketing, and advertising, our goal is very much, how do we influence? How do we leverage those partnerships, those relationships that we have with the media, and kind of be, and I like to use this term, and I always get checked on my age about it, but a switchboard operator is how PR works, is we connect the dots. And I'm so glad that you're smiling, because I've had some Gen Zers look at me and they're like, so what's a switchboard? Like, what is that?
You're not old enough to know what a switchboard operator is.
The switchboard, man, just go Google it. You already have your phone anyway in your hands. But, that's very much how PR is that we're always connecting the dots between our relationships we have with the media, our relationships we have with major organizations, and we're connecting them with the clients and the brands that we serve. And we see kind of those connections and we make that difference there. And hey, this would be a good opportunity. Let's get you connected. We pretty much liaison and we negotiate those partnerships and those relationships that make that difference. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. It's very, very much those genuine, authentic relationships we're trying to build and get that exposure that's completely from a valid place. It's not paid for, it's earned media. It's those exposures that make brands go from very little to not known to very well known. And it's by placing them in those positions where they can pivot. I think best example even of that, I always think of the Super Bowl, because many people don't know that the artists that perform, they're never paid. They don't get paid for those. But how amazing is it that this one person can go and perform and they're showcasing their products and they're doing this and you get to hear about their new album. And it's all for free. That's free promo. But look how many people they're exposed to in that 5-minute, 10-minute window that they're there. That's the power of PR. It's the exposure and it's the guarantee. It's right there in their faces. This is the product. And here you can go and check them out even further. That's what it's all about. So yes, definitely makes a big difference.
One of the things that might be confusing is people have different titles: publicist, PR consultant, public affairs specialist. Are these all the same? Do they do different things? And if they do, how are they different and who should my listeners contact?
That is such a good question. And it's one that I think it's very important for people to be aware of when they're seeking to look for a PR agency or someone to outsource and help in that area for their companies. So kind of to start with, there's several different titles, but here, just kind of a quick breakdown of what it looks like. So your PR consultant is purely that. They consult for PR, they handle your media, they handle your campaigns, and you essentially consult them for that service and that support as an outsourced service, right? Public affairs, that gets more into government side. So when you think of public affairs, think of like your press secretary, or someone that works for the Department of Defense. That's going to be more along the lines of legislative and government affairs, is your public affairs specialist. So if you work in that particular area, that's the type of person you would be looking for. And you may already have someone assigned to you that would essentially be your public affairs specialist. And then there's the publicist. Publicist, very, very popular term. I like to use it because many people can quickly get the light bulb on and say, oh, I know what that is. Oh, okay, I know what you do. But a publicist is essentially someone that promotes a major event or activity. That's it. Publicist is great for If you have just a one-time event, think like a press conference, a movie premiere. That's what a publicist would do, is essentially promote that one big event and get the media out there, influencers out there so they can participate and they can talk about the event. Publicists are typically ones that you hire when it's that one major event, but outside of that, you're good. You don't need them anymore. For those that are looking for ongoing public relations support, they're either going to be looking for a publicist or they might be needing a PR consultant. Consultant is one that's going to be with you long term because you're consulting for that service. But all of them have very, very similar roles in that they're dealing with the media. They're dealing with any type of communication that's happening for the company or the public figure. But all will operate in a different capacity depending on what the project is and also industry-wise, what you're working on. But yes, that is kind of one of those things that as a company, as a brand, you really have to identify what is it that I'm looking for and what I'm needing right now. Is it just that I need you to just promote this event? That's going to be the primary focus. But outside of that, that's kind of it. You're absolutely going to want to seek a publicist for your area that's very versed and familiar with the market that you have, and that can quickly get those media outlets out there so they can share and promote the event from within. But if you're needing someone that's managing your projects on a day-to-day basis and managing your communication on a day-to-day basis, you absolutely want to get a PR consultant or some kind of consulting agency that's what they do and they handle clients long-term. And then, of course, we didn't mention this one, but a crisis communications expert. That very much is PR too. Now, when you get into trouble and have a major incident happen and your brand is hemorrhaging because of the downfall of bad press and issues, whatever the case may be, whatever's going on, you're very much going to want to seek a crisis communications expert or, again, a consultancy agency, PR consultant agency that handles crisis communications to help support you as you're dealing with whatever that issue is. Crisis could be a variety of different things, but you definitely want to make sure that you have an expert that is communicating properly to the public as well as the media and letting them know just this is what we're dealing with and this is how we are managing this at this point.
Hopefully my listeners have nothing but good news to share, events to share and the like, but it's good to know that if something does happen where they need crisis management, it's there for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So important. It's one of those things that, when it happens, I always say, we're always on the edge of a crisis. If you haven't had one, great for you, but it's still on the horizon. Because, let's just be honest, it's life. It happens. It's how we manage and we work through it is what ultimately defines us. And you want to make sure that you're dealing with it effectively. But if you don't have the staff, the resources deal with it, hire an expert. Have somebody that this is what they do. Crisis is what they know. And let them handle the bigger aspect of what this is going to do to my image, to my brand, and making sure that we're communicating and sharing as much information as possible so that we're doing a service to our fans, our followers, our clients, our customers, and making sure that they're aware fully that we're on it and we're doing what we need to do to help support.
Brandi, how can my listeners connect with you?
Your listeners can definitely check us out at brandingpr.com. We have a wealth of resources and information there for small businesses. We love to work with small businesses, share that information, anything that can be helpful, little tips, tricks. We have that available on our resource page. But if you are past the point of tips and tricks and would like to just outsourcing, just get the help that you need, you can certainly reach out to us on our contact us page and just let us know what you're working on, what you need help with, and we'll have an agent reach out to you and get connected. You can also follow us on social media at Brand Inc. PR. We're always sharing, again, helpful resources, helpful information, trends and insights that are happening in PR and communication, and just keeping you well informed, as well as what we're working on and doing with our clients. We're always available to chat and offer any assistance that we can.
You have the perfect name for what you do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Brandi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. This was fun.
That's a wrap of another episode of Public Speaking with Peter George. Be sure to tune in again for a conversation with another public speaking expert. And remember to use the link in the show notes to go to Amazon and check out Peter's acclaimed book, The Captivating Public Speaker.